How's it going, guys? Coming at you with a review of this gun right here, which is the P-83 Wanad. This is a Polish-made gun made in the Radom factory there in Poland. This particular one was made in 1990. It is chambered for the 9x18 Makarov round. It was produced between 1983 and 2000 and is actually designed to replace the older and smaller P-64. This gun is currently being utilized by the Polish military and the Polish police force as of the date of this video. However, it's being progressively replaced by the WIST 94, which is a more modern 9mm handgun. Because it's being replaced, it's becoming more available on the surplus market. This particular one I picked up from JandGSales.com. They have quite a few of these, and they are actually relatively cheap. This gun right now from J&G is going for $250, and you'll see that that is a really good value as this review goes on. Some of the features of the gun: it does have a 3.5-inch barrel. It's a blowback operation, and it weighs roughly 26 ounces. It's not a really lightweight gun. It's all steel frame and steel slides, so it is a little bit heavier, but it is a really nice size for concealed carry. And I'll actually compare it with my XDS here in just a minute. But it's a nice little concealed carry size. I have small to medium size hands, and I can actually get a full grip on the gun, and so it's a relatively convenient size. There are some downsides for concealed carry, and I'll talk about those in just a minute. But yeah, so if you guys have ever shot the P-64 Makarov, you know that has a pretty horrid trigger. I think the P-64's double action trigger pull is something like 20 pounds. It's just crazy heavy. This gun improves vastly upon that trigger. This double action trigger pull is right around 11 to 12 pounds, and the single action trigger pull is right around 5.5 pounds. The gun has been safety checked here. Let's go ahead and show you the double action trigger pull. There is a little bit of creep or grittiness to the trigger pull, and it feels every bit of about 12 pounds on that trigger pull. However, the single action trigger pull is probably right around 5 pounds, and there's just a tiny little bit of creep to it and a pretty crisp release. So it's actually, for what it is, a decent trigger. The sights are your standard fare notched rear sight and just fixed blade front sight. You can do windage adjustments by drifting the rear sight. It has a nice textured strap across the top of the slide there that helps reduce down on glare. It does have a safety lever, which is only on the left side of the gun, and it also acts as a decocker. So we go up for safe and down for fire. It's pretty positive and easy to manipulate, so it's it's a pretty good safety for what it is. The hammer is relatively comfortable when it comes to actually manually cocking the gun. However, when we talk about concealed carry, the hammer could present as a snag issue when you're concealed carrying it. It has a fairly generous slide stop / slide release, so on reloads you can drop the slide fairly easily with it. Magazine release is European style, and it has that button right there on the bottom. And as you can see, it really just flies, those magazines just really fly out of there. So you really have no problem with drop-free magazines. And the button for the mag release is fairly large, so you're not really going to miss it. There is a lanyard loop there on the bottom left hand of the grip, so you can also lanyard the gun if you'd like. Features a polymer grip, so that does help with weight, even though this is a chunk of a gun. It does have a loaded chamber indicator right there. It pops out when there is a round in the chamber. And that pretty much covers the features of the gun. However, it is a bit of a heavy gun. To give you an idea, this thing weighs 26 ounces. A full-size Glock 17 weighs 25 ounces. And my Springfield XDS, which I'll roll in here right now, weighs 23 ounces. So for a single stack, the XDS is a fairly chunky gun. But this is a full steel frame and steel slide gun, so it is a bit on the heavier side. Give you a little size comparison with the XDS here. You can see that the overall length of the 83 is about between 1/4 and 1/2 inch longer. If we put them together on height-wise, you can see that the 83 is a little bit taller than the XDS. However, you get the advantage of one more round over the XDS. This is a 7+1, this is an 8+1. Thickness-wise, you're running right about the same. However, the slide stop release on the 83 is a little bit wider. Really, the role or the philosophy I can see the P-83 really shining in is as a concealed carry gun. However, there's some negatives for me when it comes to concealed carry with this gun. For one, it weighs 26 ounces, so it's a fairly heavy gun for its size. It's not prohibitively heavy. Like you could definitely do it, but you know, ounces add to pounds. Obviously, the same old cliche goes, and so it is a little bit on the heavy side. The other downside is, again, that hammer could be a snag problem there, and so that's something to take into consideration if you are going to be carrying this gun. It also has a manual safety. For me, that's a negative when it comes to concealed carry. However, there are some out there that definitely think that a safety is a nice option. And it does function as a decocker, so it is safe that way. You don't have to drop the hammer on a live round. Another downside to concealed carry with this gun is that it is a double action, single action trigger pull. I'm not a big fan of double action, single action guns. I just think I like to have a nice, consistent trigger pull every time. If you train with this gun, then obviously that's not going to be that big of an issue, and the single action trigger is actually a really, really nice trigger. So it's kind of a relative downside, but I don't really like the double action, single action. Another negative when it comes to concealed carry for me is that it's a European mag release. Again, if you train for it, it's not that big of an issue. However, it's a little bit slower when it comes to reloading, and so that could be a negative. But all that being said, though, with these issues is if you practice with the gun, then you shouldn't really have a problem with concealed carry with this gun, because it really is a nice size for concealed carry. Also, if you're thinking about utilizing this gun as a concealed carry gun, I really recommend this Critical Defense. It's a 95 grain FTX round, and the Critical Defense is actually a really, really good round. Pretty much in every caliber I've tested it in, it's tested very consistently. Here's a look at the actual round, as you can see. And so I really recommend this. I did a ballistics gel test on the Makarov round here at the Critical Defense, so look for that in a separate video. I'll leave a link down below to that video, but it performed really, really well. Now, to disassemble the gun, it's fairly easy. As you can see, there's this little latch right here. You pull that latch down, and it moves the lug down to the bottom. And then what you do, you can cock the hammer back to make it a little easier to rack the slide. You bring the slide back, lift up on the back, and it comes right off the front. So it's really as easy as it comes. And then you can remove the recoil spring around the barrel, which is fixed to the gun because this is a blowback operation. And that heavy recoil spring actually keeps the slide closed on the chamber while the bullet is leaving the barrel. As you can see, fairly simple internals. You have a fixed ejector right there against the frame. Fairly simple fare, actually. Let me get my flashlight out here. You can actually see the welding marks where they've actually welded the two pieces of the frame together. This gun's kind of unique in that it's all made from like stamped material. So they stamp it and then they weld it together, and underneath you can actually see the welding marks represented there in the bluing. So it's kind of manufactured by just stamping these parts together, and you can kind of tell that as well from the actual trigger guard itself. It's just one like little stamped piece of metal. Let's go ahead and reassemble the gun real quick. Just the reverse of it, stick it in, drop it down on top, hit the lug back in place, and you're good to go. Really simple, very easy to reassemble and disassemble. One of the purposes of the design was to save the Poles money when it came to manufacturing costs. This gun actually uses 50% less material to produce, as well as 30% less time. So it really excelled in the fact that it could be produced cheaply, cost-effective, and quickly. And that was a huge thing for the Radom factory there in Poland. So the pistol being blowback operation, it has that blowback style of recoil. So if you guys have ever shot like a SIG P-232 or a Walther PPK, you kind of know what I'm talking about. Both of those guns are 380, so they're going to recoil very similar. But that blowback operation actually adds a little bit of sharpness to the recoil, and so it kind of has that blowback feel to it. However, it's not a harsh gun to shoot by any means. The weight of the gun actually mitigates the recoil really nicely, and DocTac Mom said that she didn't feel the recoil was bad at all, and it was very controllable. Accuracy of the gun is pretty much going to be on par with just about any other pistol. It really just depends on how well the shooter can actually handle the gun. So I picked this gun up from J&G Sales. Let me show you what I got with the gun and help you understand the value of the gun. You get the gun, and you get 2 magazines, and you get this holster. And the holster that comes with, I think, is really designed for a P-64, so it's a little bit small. And so what I did was I just kind of rigged up this little thing with paracord, and now it actually fits inside. So you can put the gun right down in, push it down inside, and then latch it right up here with my paracord. And as you can see, it protects the gun fairly well all the way around, and so it's a decent holster for what it is. You also you keep your second mag inside. It also came with the cleaning rod there from J&G as well. Overall, I think this is a really decent gun, and if you get it from JNGSales.com, you're looking about $250, and it's a huge value for what you're getting. I picked up some boxes of Makarov rounds for less than $14 per 50, and that's a really pretty cheap ammunition, and it's readily available. You can usually find it in pretty much any of your major gun stores. It's not an obscure round by any means, and its power factors between a 380 and a 9mm, probably closer to the 380, but it's still definitely a usable round for like concealed carry, self-defense, something like that. Also at $250, you get the holster and everything. And so I just think it's a really great value. I think it'd make a really nice concealed carry gun, but I also think it would make a nice little kit gun. With the self-contained holster, you can throw it in the holster, throw some ammo in with it, and it make for a nice little kit gun, inexpensive kit gun. I think it'd be really good. So if you guys are thinking about picking up a P-83, I really recommend it. There's a link down below to the J&G website for this gun at $250. Really great value. I definitely recommend it. Tell them DocTacDad sent you if you guys pick one up from them. And again, I really recommend the gun. If you guys have any questions or comments about anything you've seen in this video, go ahead and hit me up in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like the video if you do like what you see, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos just like this in the future. You can hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Google Plus as well. And as always, guys, thanks very much for watching, and we'll catch you guys next video. See ya.